The history of the Jewish people is marked by mass migrations, sometimes running from oppression, sometimes seeking new opportunities. A century of immigration to the United States brought millions to this country. The new diaspora.
Many Jewish immigrants, like my parents, came here. A lot of them went to New York, New Jersey, the large populated areas, but many went throughout the country. They went to Montana, they went to South Georgia, they went, all over, small towns.
And everywhere they went, Jewish communities sprang up. Synagogues and schools, neighborhoods and cemeteries.
My great-grandfather came from Eastern Europe. Him and his wife walked the railroad tracks, and they ended up in Newcastle.
Probably the first Jews that came here came in 1817.
I think the Jewish people just came to supplement with grocery stores, clothing stores, the needs of the people in the area.
When we moved to Steubenville, there were two congregations, a conservative congregation and a Reformed congregation, thriving.
But when the small town shrank in a declining economy, these communities dissipated.
They went where the jobs were.
Today, many can no longer afford to pay a rabbi, maintain a synagogue, or a cemetery. What happens next?
This was the main street of the south side of Newcastle, where the Jewish people lived 100 years ago, and they built the synagogue 1 block away.
That was the heart of the social activity.
And at one time, there were like 100 students in our Sunday school, and we're down to 1 now.
With some people, there was a bit of denial in regards to where we were in the maturation process.
That's the end of an era and an end of something very important in your life. You just don't do it and say, oh, that's fine, we're done. It's emotional.
I think it's really hard for congregations to face the reality that they're not going to grow. We just hope against hope, but it's not a good plan for the Jewish future just to hope. Sometimes we have to smartly plan, and that's the conversation that this project uniquely brings.
They were sitting with assets, their synagogue, money in the bank, and what happens to all of this?
We stayed pretty active until around 1980.
Well, the handwriting was on the wall. The archives room, and it's no longer in use. Most realized that something needed to be done.
So, where do you go?
We ran out of people rather than money, and it was time to close.
While every community is different, certain tasks come up again and again. They need to create a budget for current operations, to figure out what to do with buildings, property, and valuables, to arrange for perpetual care for their cemetery, to ensure future oversight for the long process, to arrange for rabbinic presence for those still living there, and to invest remaining assets in noble Jewish causes.
The board of directors decided to appoint a long-range planning committee.
There's so much emotion around this kind of an issue. You really need a neutral third party. And luckily we found out about this Jewish Legacy organization.
JCLP comes in as a neutral party. They really are there to help with the planning process. Our federation becomes a partner in that planning process, but we're not the driver of the planning.
He really steered us to make appropriate choices and open doors that we probably would not have anticipated on our own.
And before you know it, it's not a guessing game anymore. You have direction.
A lot of them didn't know that they could put a fund with the Federation and we would be able to protect that fund and work with the Jewish Cemetery and Burial Association to make sure that there was perpetual care.
It was time to address the temple.
And that's when they came to us and said, can you help us with this? And we said, absolutely.
Now we need to plan ahead with our artifacts.
We've helped them bring things down from the attic, and a lot of that has gone to the Jewish Heritage Collection at the College of Charleston.
City Councilman, 1938 to 1946.
It was decided to do something wonderful, honorable. They talked about children and making sure they had a strong Jewish identity. They became founders in our Centennial Fund for a Jewish Future, and their name will live on through that.
In any town, at any time in history, the dissolution of a Jewish community is difficult. But it need not be tragic. With good guidance and smart decisions, the community's legacy can be preserved and their contribution to a strong future be celebrated.
It's a project to continue what these wonderful folks started so many years ago.
We're going to make sure that your legacy endures and is a living legacy. The impact will be great.
We're getting closer and closer to that day when someone has to turn out the lights.
It's really heartrending to think of closing those doors. And we want to be there for them, and we want to help with those decisions, and we want to all be strong together.